Now, oh no. All right. So I'm going to start covering the Shadowverse new expansion because there's something on my screen that can't be ignored. Sorry. That's Daria. And I'm going to have to go over everything that's going on right now, but that's Daria. Jesus. Oh, no, they didn't. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Cash, and we are here today to go over the cards in the new expansion, which is going to be called World Uprooted. And they just, I go here, it's kind of quicker because sometimes there are cards released in different events than they put on the Shadowverse Twitter. So this has like every single card usually, because sometimes they'll be like, oh, let me show you guys this card or that card. And this one was released during this tournament that you had no idea was even going on. So funny stuff like that. So what I wanted to do is to go over every card that's released now, let you guys know that I'll be covering all the cards as they get released, because I feel like there's not that many people that do that. The couple people that I do know that did that, Blue Reboot, I don't think he actually makes content for the game anymore. And I always kind of liked it, being part of something that's fresh and new. So let's just go straight down. So boom, boom. As we go down, we'll hit everything that's in the list going from left to right. So first and foremost, let's go with Entwine. Intertwined Resolve. Use play points equal to this card's cost and play this card as Arisa's Leadership or Latika's Embrace. If at least 2 other cards were played this turn, instead summon 2 fairies and deal 3 damage to a random follower. So obviously you're going to need to know what those other 2 cards are to know which one you even want to pick. Which, this thing is ready. It's ready, man. So Arisa's Leadership is summon 2 fairies. So now we go back. So you can, for 2 costs, you could summon 2 fairies. And if you haven't guessed by the ending part here, Latika's Embrace is to deal 3 damage to a random enemy follower. The whole point of it is that if you play 2 cards before that, you can pretty much do both. That's kind of what it is. It is a Forestcraft card, and right now that's pretty good. This will definitely help you with the Phantom Fairy Dragon. That'll be really, really good. Summons 2 1/1 units for 2 costs, even if you don't get the other part of it. And if you need to, you can deal with a pesky stealth unit that's in ambush. And if you play 2 cards, you get both. Oh my god, like playing this on, like, imagine turn 4. That's 4 fairies right there. 4 1/1s for that stupid card. That's crazy. So Forest is getting even more support for its Evo kind of deck. I don't know what they're losing, and I think that always is something important that we have to look at, and that's probably something I'll do at the end. Once they reveal all the cards, then I'll look at every card that's leaving each expansion. If you guys are interested in that, let me know. Next up is the Iron Glider Elf. Put a random Machina card. So Machina is definitely coming back in this expansion. Also the fusion mechanic, which we'll go over once we see Belphemut. Put a random Machina card, except this card, from your deck into your hand and subtract its cost from 1. This is a 4-cost card. It can't pull itself. You can also evolve it and do the same thing. So one of the things that I think that Forest Machina, like, that just didn't have too much gusto. I think the best card in it, Clef, was good. He was a nice little good card. And then they had the other guy, the Mecha Lance. Have you ever seen a Mecha Lance? That guy, right? So you had the Mecha Lance, and the thing about the Mecha Lance is that was kind of it. And then you kind of filled up your board. It was a very aggro-based thing. It's like they're trying to bring aggro a little bit back, because that's what Machina kind of represented. It had a bunch of minion spam, but for Forest, it was an aggro deck. So they'll probably be able to put a bunch of stuff on the field. You probably could still maybe do Machina Evo, maybe an Evo Machina deck, by putting a bunch of stuff on the field and for cheap costs. And as you can see there, and you get the the Harvester. I don't even know if she's getting removed. She's been in the game for a while. She's been in rotation, sorry, for a while. So we'll have to look at that later. But all in all, this card by itself is pretty good if Forest Machina is making a comeback. Next up is the girl. Yeah, baby. All right, so she's 8 cost, which I don't know exactly if that's what she used to cost anyway, but she's on her same shenanigans. Fanfare, draw cards until your hand is full. I think that the other one was just, the other one was take your hand completely the fuck out, right? Take your hand out, banish it, and then you drew 6 cards, and they got spell boosted, I think, 5 times. I think that's how that worked. So This one is a little bit different. It's draw cards until your hand is full, or you draw a card without spell boost. That is definitely a unique way to nerf that type of card, putting you or kind of forcing you in a position where you need to play a deck with a lot of cards that have the spell boost. Because if you think about it, you play her for 0 because you got the magic hand. You draw 1 card, it's still a 1 card draw 4/4 that spell boosted pretty much nothing, because it says spell boost those cards 3 times. I'm assuming what it's saying is that the cards that were added to your hand by this card's effect. So if you don't get anything, then that kind of sucks. So it kind of keeps you, what I like to call, keeps you a little bit honest. So you have to play it in a pure spell boosting deck. You can't do any, I mean, maybe you could do something more spicy, but you're gonna need to play it. Obviously the big deck right now is Kuan, so if you just draw Kuan, it gets reduced by 3, but you're gonna draw Kuan and hopefully the other members of the gang you know, I don't even know if Zealot of Truth is gonna still be in there. I think it might be his time to go, but who knows? If they're trying to give spell boost a little bit more support, even though it's already pissing people off, this is a very interesting decision. It's really why I wanted to make this video. I was thinking about making it later, earlier this morning, but I was like, I want to wait until they do the next reveal. And it's very interesting to bring Daria back when spell boost is up there. I think the top 3 decks right now, or the top 3 crafts at least I should say, is definitely Rune, Dragon, and Sword. The top 3, which is funny because they usually are. I feel like they're the flagships of the damn game, those 3, and the other ones are just like in the background. Can I get some camera time? So you got the Daria girl back, and like I said, she needs to go in a pure, pretty much spell boosting deck. Imagine you getting Daria late into the game, and that was kind of what her issue was. You get her late into the game. This kind of fixes that, because now you don't lose your entire hand. And they were smart enough to change it that it's not spell boost your hand 3 times, so it didn't matter if you didn't draw anything. So you can get a bad draw, and Daria, it's a good nerf. I feel like it balances her out a little bit. So as much as it's funny just to see her name and just people freak out, but you know, you could get a hand where she comes out, Kuan is there, and Kuan and his gang is there with their spell boosting shenanigans. Daria's in the hand, or multiple Darias. Now you can do that, and you can draw your deck really fast. You can really draw your deck out, which is another thing. Do you even want to play Daria when you have, you know, you already did so much draws? So it's gonna be a risk, but I'm interested to see how she's gonna perform, and if it's gonna be worth people running her, which is a lot of draw power. You can technically draw your entire deck, or most of your deck. You can almost deck out with this if it keeps hitting spell boost cards. That's pretty much, it says until your hand's full, right? Sorry. So, you know, but if you have a low amount of hand, that's 6 card draw. Yes, a lot of those stuff gets spell boosted up, which is great, but I feel like it's not as black and white as being. This is amazing. I think that it's gonna be interesting to see it. But since spell boost is what it is, it's still gonna make it. It's, what was it, tier 0? So now we're going -1. Tier -1. Is that what we're doing here? All right. So now Havencraft Legendaries revealed. Jesse. Okay, Jesse bless Al. Isn't this This is the moon, the other one. So fusion. Natura. So when performing fusion with this card, restore 1 defense to your leader. That is awesome. And this is Haven though. I mean, they neutered Natural Haven with the whole shenanigan. Let me explain how this works. Now, fusion supposedly works in the way that when you use fusion, it's like you're taking a card from your hand and it's pretty much getting banished and added onto this card. Not the effects, but it's getting 1 counter. Pretty much that's how the fusion is, just countering that card. So you fuse a natural card into this card, and the more that you do it, the more effects that it gets. So as it's saying right there, Storm, it has Storm base, as it says. It's a 5/3/5 Storm. Fanfare, if at least 1 card is fused to this card, it has Bane. You do it 2 times, it's Ward. You do it 3 times, it is Drain. Now, does it have an evo effect? It does not. Now, the thing that I really am interested about this is that, can you just keep doing that even after 3? Is there a reason to do it after 3? That's the thing that we're gonna have to learn about fusion. There might even be a card that is similar to Saintly Leader. That's like the amount of times that you fuse this match, this card gains plus X, and X is the amount that was fused this turn. So this is the first Natura, and as we already know that you might not know because you're watching this video, but there's one that does it for Machina as well. And what's really good about both of these is that they have, Natura has a bunch of, you know, card generation. You can keep making trees, so you can just put them into this, but then you don't get the tree deaths. kind of iffy. Same thing with Machina. You can create droids in your hand. You can create repair modes in your hand. These, from what I've seen, fusion does not have to be a follower. It could be a card. It could be whatever, as long as it has the natural on top of it. Good. And another thing that we don't know is, does it cost anything? I don't know if it costs 1 play point to fuse. Is that a thing? I have no idea. Especially if I even go back to a card like Daria. What if they give Rune a fusion and then you could just put a bunch of crap into your hand, fuse them, and then play Daria and then fill up your hand? That might be crazy if they give that option. Obviously there's no neutral fusion that we've seen so far. That's one thing I don't know. So if anyone can let me know in the comments, does fusion take play points? I don't know that. Even still, there could be a lot of good combos with that. Sorry, but yes, this card is good, but the whole thing of Natural Haven is to use the natural cards, especially the trees, and, you know, keep drawing your stuff and destroying it. So it's a little weird that this is like a legendary. It definitely depends on how that works. Next up, Ironclad Armadillo, right? This is a separate card. Portalcraft Bronze, and that's another thing. These are things that are dual traits. So this thing can work in both decks. It could probably be triggered for the fusion of whatever one. It just depends on how you feel like using it. Something I feel like they should have been done for a while is dual traits, but maybe they didn't know how to handle it in a meta. So as you guys can see here, put an assembly droid and repair mode into your hand, and it also is a ward. It's a 3-cost ward that puts 2 Machina cards in the hand. Why is that awesome? Because that's 2 cards you can just put in a fusion if you really want to. And as I said, that's probably how you want to do it. Put cards that generate cards that are maybe not as useful to you, and then you fuse them and not use like big cards in your deck. Next up is going to be the fusion, the Baphomet World Reaver. It's crazy that they gave him all this love, and I think if for a person that actually played through the story, it's actually pretty good. I think that he was a really good character. So he has the fusion, he has rush, randomly activate one of the following effects X amount of times. X equals the number of times the card's fused. So this is one of those cards that is actually beneficial to constantly keep doing it. But as you see the effects here, summon an armored tentacle, summon an assault tentacle. You only have so much board space, so there is that, right? But the cool part would obviously be this. Gain +3/+3 and draw 3 cards. Draw up to 3 times. So you know, the card draw part of it is whatever. But technically, if you were to roll, you could technically, in my opinion, the way that it's written, you could just +3/+3/+3/+3/+3. You might not even get armored tentacle or assault. You might not even get that. So that's crazy. But we need to see what these 2 tentacles are. Now the armor tentacles has the last words for defense to your leader, which is pretty good. It's a ward. It's a 2/4 ward and cannot be targeted by enemy spells and effects. So they pretty much have to attack into it. Really good. Can die by Bane, but I think this is really good because as we just saw, you can get like a whole roll of them. You play him on turn 8, you get a whole roll of wards that can't be targeted by spells. I mean, yes, Baphomet himself can be, but he's still behind a beefy wall. And then we have the Assault Tentacle, which is a 4/2 Storm. It's pretty much the reverse, and it's more aggro, which is literally what they did in the story. If this follower can be targeted by an enemy spell or effect, your opponent has to target that one. Which, in my opinion, you want at least one of these bad boys for the exact reason of it protects Baphomet. So, and also when it dies, it does 2 damage to a random enemy follower. So in my opinion, I think that you'd want at least 1 Assault Tentacle. And I mean, if you get multiple, then it's really annoying for them to deal with, right? They like, think of going against Rune, they got the Fiery Embrace. Each Assault Tentacle is a Fiery Embrace that they have to waste before taking care of Baphomet, who's probably +1000 at this point. So you got to deal with that, right? So I think this card overall, is really, really good. And it also comes with Rush, so at least it can actually deal with some type of threat immediately when it comes onto the board. And yeah, and as many armored tentacles as you might drop, you are also getting 4 defense every time those things die. So it gives Portal, heal, oh baby. And if you look at the tools that Portal has, I think that finally I think that Machina Portal will be very respected, because the deck was okay, but the win con of Belphemit was too RNG. It was like you played him on turn 6, you hold for a bunch of shenanigans, and it might not come out there. There are ways to reduce the cost of a Machina card in hand, depending on, I forgot what card does it. I think it's that strike mobilization thing or whatever. You have to blow Evo for it, but you can actually potentially be playing Belphemit on turn 7. You can be potentially playing him on turn 6, depending on how, if the opponent can't deal with that card, or if you play them back to back, or you play him cheaper and then actually have support for him with other spells. So it might get crazy. We definitely think Portalcraft Machina is going to be taking a lot of stuff by storm. Next up, we got a neutral Goblin Scrum. Summon 2 goblins, enhance, summon 3 more, and enhance 9, then evolve all allied goblin. I could see now goblins are a 1-cost unit, so I'm, you know, my wheels are spinning. Maybe it's good for the Force Evo deck, you know, because it will ramp up the thing. You 3 costs, you get 2. Same thing like the other one. You get Forest, you get fairies pretty much for free. Enhance, you summon 5, a full board. Pretty much, you summon a board of goblins, and that right there triggers the fairy right there. So turn enhance 6, you can trigger the fairy, the fairy dragon pretty much immediately, and then enhance 9 is 5 evos. So I guess if you were trading off really well this turn, pretty much, if you still think about it, it's a enhanced 9, you're getting 5 3/4 rushes, and you're getting evos towards ZEUZ. So, and I don't even know, I think ZEUZ is not rotating out. That would suck, right? I don't think ZEUZ is rotating out, but if he's not, then I would see this maybe in Forest. I don't see other decks that would really want to run this, because it's a big clunky card in their hand if you're not running Evo, if you're not benefiting off the turn 9 Evo if you really need it. But it is a really good, what is that? 3 times 5 is 15, so you can definitely trade with a lot of stuff and open up the board and then stuff like that. So I see that in, maybe, I wouldn't even say Sword. Sword has enough. Next up is going to be the Changewind Cherub Fanfare. If you have at least 3 other Machina cards in your hand, deal 2 damage to an enemy follower. If you have at least 3 other Natras, restore 2 defense to your leader. Again, pretty good card. I think that you'll see it a lot in a lot of decks, because it can fit in either your new Machina deck or your new Natra deck. It doesn't matter. You can also evolve and choose to put either a tree or an assembly droid into the hand, which is going to be good for the fusions, depending on how many they are. We need to see more of the fusion cards, like, badly. It's really going to depend on a lot of stuff. So next up is the Boom Devil. Boom, baby. Fanfare, deal 5 damage to the enemy leader. If this card is on its 10th turn or later, deal 5 damage to everything instead. I actually like the card. I think it's not that bad. Turn 7, you get a 5/5. It is neutral, so you can put it in other decks, so it could benefit, you know, some other decks that I'm not really thinking of it too much, but I do like the 5 damage to face. I like the 5 damage to face. I think that that's a nice thing. And then 5 damage to everything, if it's a later, it feels like it's good. I don't think I can see people running it. I think it's a pretty good, like, a take 2 card. I think it's a really good take 2 card. It's a late game big body that does something immediately when it comes out. Could be lethal, could threaten lethal, because you can play it, still have a board as it's being played, and then 5 plus whatever you have on the board. That's all they currently have as of 3/15. So I think that that's pretty good. I'm very interested to see where this goes. The last expansion, I think, was a really good. It actually took the game out of being super aggro, and it made it a little bit that the games last a little bit longer. So you feel that you're not getting slided unless you're playing against Dragon. Then you always feel like you're being slided. Even no, yeah, when you play Rune, you feel like you're being slided. I'm sorry, and I'm a Runecraft lover, main, whatever. Sword just feels like the most fair deck that you can possibly play, and that's saying a lot because it's still pretty broken. Anyway, that's gonna be it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys look forward to shorter videos going forward, because they're only gonna be releasing a couple of cards at a time. So the next couple of videos will be shorter, but I want to keep covering this because I'm really excited to see where this game is going. And I think that Legends of Runeterra needs to do something like this too, because I feel like it's getting slightly boring. Also, if you guys can see it here, it even says that fusion cards can be powered up by banishing other cards in your hand even when they are not yet playable. When played, fusion cards gain bonuses. Yeah, but see, it doesn't tell you if that takes up, you know, play orbs. So is it possible that you can literally go turn 1 and banish the entirety of your hand and have this one card. Like, I mean, it'd be stupid to do that because so far most of the fusions are like turn 5. That one, Jesse's turn 5. I mean, maybe they'll make one that's a little bit earlier. Maybe it's, you know, fusion into draw. I don't know. We definitely gotta see. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Just remember that every day at the Kashino is your lucky day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.